Hey everyone, I'm here today. It is March of 2020 here in southeast Louisiana. I'm here today to show you guys a video of how I'm going to prepare this bed right here to plant stuff. It's been neglected for the last year or two, and it got completely overgrown with weeds and grass. So a buddy of mine a couple of weeks ago tilled out most of it. I'm gonna have to go back through today with sort of a fine-tooth comb, so to speak, and get some of this grass that's still in there and some of the weeds. They've already popped back up some. So I'm gonna get the rest of these weeds out, clean this up a bit, use a rake to basically flatten it and get it a little more even. And then I'm gonna show you guys the soil mix that I make utilizing some stuff that I bought at Lowe's, and so that'll help bring the existing soil up and adding some more fresher nutrients to it, and like I said, just getting it ready to plant some stuff. Alright, here's everything that I'm going to be adding to that existing bed. The mix is primarily topsoil. I'd say probably about 40% or so is going to be this topsoil here. The topsoil for a 40-pound bag is about $2 a bag. And then to add some extra nutrients to the mix, I like using this mushroom compost from Black Velvet. I found it worked pretty good last season. So I'm going to add that, and that'll be about 35 or 40% also in the mix. And then I add peat moss as well, and peat moss or peat humus is good to add in a raised bed because it helps maintain moisture so it doesn't dry out quite so quickly. So it's going to be about 10 or 15% with that, and then the rest is basically the existing soil that's already in there, mixing it in with that as well and building it all up. So this is a mix that I've used the last couple of years on my primary bed that I've been growing in, and I've had pretty good success with it, so I'm going to continue with that. The one thing I would also recommend adding that I don't have today is worm castings. If you want to keep things organic, worm castings are a great nutrient for the soil and all the microorganisms that will help your plants grow. I try to keep everything as organic as possible in my garden. I'm not super strict about it, as none of these items that I'm showing you guys today are certified organic, but I would say they were closer to organic than a lot of the other products out there. You can of course buy organic potting mix from smaller companies on up to Miracle-Gro, but they're much more expensive. They're about $10 a bag, and I would say utilizing the mix that I've got here, it would probably equate more to about I'd say probably closer to $5 a bag equivalent when you add all the different everything together. The big thing of peat moss here, this runs about, I think it was like about $13 or $14 at Lowe's, and for my 20-foot bed, I really only need one or maybe two. I actually already got another bag here at the house, so this way you only see one here in the back of the truck. But anyways, so I'm going to start preparing the soil. Like I said, taking out some of the weeds, and I'll just film the progress as I go, and I'll talk more afterwards. So I just got done going through with a fine-tooth comb, so to speak, pulling out the last of the weeds before I add the new soil mix in. Still a bunch of debris in there, but it's all dried, dead stuff, so it'll basically just get buried underneath the new mix, and just kind of turn into its own compost, so to speak. It'll decompose in there. There's nothing to worry about. So onward I go to the next phase. Alright, I've got all my bags of topsoil lined up, I'm gonna empty all of those out first before I put the other components in. All right, I've got the topsoil poured out. Next up, I'm gonna mix in the mushroom compost, and then on top of that, I'll put the peat moss. All right, just before I mix it up here, I just wanted to show you guys the different color and consistencies of the three mixes. This more grayish material here is the topsoil, and then the darker color is the mushroom compost, and then the more brown material is the peat moss, which I'm going to use and just go along the top of this whole thing. And then I'll start mixing it all up, flatten it out, level it up, and I'm just going to compact it a little bit, basically by just walking over it once, and then that'll pretty much be fine. I don't want to compact it too much. I want the plants, the roots of the plants, to have plenty of room to grow with ease. So I'm gonna get to it here. All right, so I got it all done. Just wanted to quickly show you here the tools that I use to mix everything up. Just basic cultivator and a rake, and then the broom to clean off the bricks around the edge. The one downside to this method is the actual mixing of everything, the literal act of mixing. It is a bit difficult, and you know, it's not perhaps even across, you know, from the end of the bed here all the way to the end. You know, there might be some spots where it's a little heavier with the peat moss, or a little bit heavier with compost, but I did my best to mix it all up evenly. You know, and this is just the method that I prefer to do. It's not necessarily the best method for productivity, as far as, you know, your plants growing bigger and providing more fruit and vegetables and all that. You know, I could have done it a lot easier if I just went and bought like Miracle-Gro potting soil that had fertilizers in it, and you know, all sorts of other additives. But like I mentioned earlier, I like to keep things organic as much as possible within, you know, the confines of my budget, because you can certainly spend a whole lot of money on overpriced organic items that aren't going to be that much better for you than what I just did. And yeah, so the other thing I wanted to mention too in doing this is, I don't know if you can really tell, but now the soil comes right up to the top of the bricks, which just aesthetically, I'd like the bricks to be higher, so I might actually add another layer. These are just 4-inch by 8-inch by 16-inch cinder block caps. So they're solid blocks. So I might add another layer on top and go all the way around again to make it more in line with the other bed, which is about 4 inches taller. So anyways, I think that's it for right now. I'd love to hear your guys' comments, any suggestions you might have for growing in this area, you know, any other tips on soil amendments. I'm gonna let this sit probably for a week or so before I actually plant anything in it. I'll have to check the weather, see if we're gonna, hopefully we'll get a good rain in, just to help the soil settle a little bit more before I put anything in the ground. But next video will be whatever it is I decide to plant here. So until that time, I hope you all have a successful growing season. And like I said, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave any comments. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Bye.